Hi everyone, this is William from the Headphone Experience, and tonight I'm here to talk to you about the GRADO SR80e headphone. The reason I want to talk about this tonight, and the reason for this review, is I realize this is an older headphone and there's probably a lot of reviews out there already, but the number one reason is most of my reviews so far have been of headphones in the $500 to $1,000 price range, and not everybody is ready to spend $500 on a headphone. So anyway, as you know, I'm the administrator of the Headphone Experience on Facebook, so I did a poll on my headphone group and asked people what they thought that was the best entry-level audiophile headphone. Hopefully, I was trying to keep the price under $100, and had a lot of responses, and I think there was more votes for the GRADO SR80 than any other headphone in that price range, so I decided to get a hold of a pair and give it a listen, because I wanted to have something I could recommend to someone that was looking for an audiophile sound but was on a pretty tight budget, like I said, under $100, plus something that was easy to drive and didn't require an expensive headphone amp, expensive equipment, to be able to sound good. So anyway, that's why I'm here with the GRADO SR80 tonight. And first I'll talk about the headphone a little bit. It is a open back headphone. It sits on the ears. It's not an over the ear headphone, but it sits on top of the ears. It is a dynamic driver headphone. I was unable to find the dimensions of the driver itself, so I can't give you that information, but according to GRADO, it is 32 ohms. It has a sensitivity of 99.8 decibels at 1 milliwatt, so it's a relatively easy headphone to drive. You're not going to need a big amp. You're not going to, it should run fine off of a portable. It has a cable that's about 5.5 feet long. It's actually a pretty substantial cable. I've actually heard a few people, though, think that it's too heavy for a lightweight headphone used for portable use. But anyway, it has your standard 3.5 millimeter plug, and a 1/4 inch adapter does come with it. Like I said, the cable, it's a permanently attached cable. It is not removable, but it does go to each ear cup, and like I said, it's pretty substantial for a $99 headphone in my opinion. The weight of these, I think GRADO claims 8 ounces. On my scale, I came up with 7.3 ounces, and that was including the cable, or about 209 grams. And because the cable's not detachable, I can't tell you the exact weight of the headphone without the cable, but as far as I could figure, the headphone itself comes in at about 150 grams, which makes it pretty light. I mean, we're talking, less than half the weight of something like the Hi-Fi Man Sundara. The ear pads are detachable. They're made of foam, and they do come off, and you can replace them, and it looks like they're about $10 a pair to replace the ear pads. As far as the way they look, I think it's a nice looking headphone. I like the all black design, nothing fancy, no bling, nothing shiny. The feel of them, to me, they can feel a little bit cheap, but I think that's just because of the lightweight. The build quality seems to be good, and they're solid, all that. It's just that they're really lightweight, so, compared to, a much heavier headphone, that lightweight just gives it sort of a cheap feeling, but I don't think there's anything wrong with the build of them. As far as comfortable or comfort, like I said, it's a very comfortable headphone. Very lightweight, sits on the ears, and I mean, I can barely feel them. It feels like I've almost got nothing on my head. So, to me, comfort is not going to be a problem. I've heard a few people complain, but I'm not really sure what their issue was. The headband is just, I believe, a vinyl covering and doesn't really have any padding or anything. But like I said, because of the weight being so light, that doesn't really matter to me, in my opinion. I mean, it's still a comfortable headphone. As far as the sound quality, I was actually, the first thing that caught my attention when I put these on is they have exceptional clarity and detail, especially from the mid bass all the way to the treble. The detail and clarity is, I mean, way out of their price range, in my opinion. I was really surprised by the detail that I'm able to hear out of these headphones. A couple of comparisons I did, and I know these aren't really fair comparisons because they're not really in the same price range, but it's what I have to compare right now, so that's what I'm going to compare them to. I compared these to the Hi-Fi Man Sundara, which I did a review on a couple months ago. And I realized these can't compare with a headphone that costs 5 times as much. The Sundara is a $500 headphone. And I'm not expecting them to compare at all. But actually, these headphones held their own very well against the Sundara when it came to clarity and detail. I mean, I'm hearing things with these that I didn't expect to hear with a $100 headphone. I mean, detail in the, like I said, especially in the mid-range, but all the way through the treble. And as far as amping these, I tried a couple of different amps, and they really don't require a lot. I've got my Benchmark DAC1 up here, which I've used for years. And it has a pretty decent headphone amp in it, and they sound great through that. I also used my Audio GD Master 9 up here behind me, which is way overkill for a $99 headphone. Excuse me. But the reason I did that is I can also run that through the Loki equalizer and play with the tone adjustment a little bit. So I did try that. As far as the tone balance of this, the mid-range is outstanding in my opinion. Very well balanced all the way through mid-bass, the lower mid-range, upper mid-range. Very good balance, very clear. No complaints at all. The bass is good. The mid bass and the upper bass are both very good. The bass is tight. It's not boomy. It's not bloated. It's not distorted. But it does lack extension down into the sub bass. I'm guessing, I don't have a way to measure these, but I'm guessing that these start rolling off at probably about 60 or 70 hertz. And the bass, I'm not saying the bass isn't there. It's just on some music, the bass can sound a little thin, a little bit lacking in extension, and a little lacking in impact. But like I said, this is a $99 headphone. I can't expect it to compare to a $500 headphone. As far as, like I said, the bass isn't bad. It's just a little bit lacking in my opinion, especially in the sub bass. Another headphone I compared this to is I have an older set of Sony. It's an MDR V700, which is a closed back DJ style headphone. And I actually, even though those had a little bit more bass, I thought the bass on these was better. It was tighter. It was less distorted. And as far as comparing these to the Sonys, these, in my opinion, blow away the Sonys in clarity and detail. The Sonys sounded, to me, they sounded muddy all the way through the entire frequency range compared to the Grados. So, and the Sonys actually, I think, were about a $150 pair of headphones, but that was quite a while ago. I don't know if they even sell a similar headphone right now. But anyway, like I said, just really impressed with the clarity and detail. The treble on these, once again, very detailed, but in my opinion, it can sound a little bright at times. So this is going to depend on your taste in headphones. I actually prefer headphones that are a little on the bright side. I'm a fan of Hi-Fi Man headphones, which some people think are a little bright. So not on everything. I mean, just some music, the treble can be a little bit bright and a little bit fatiguing. I'm guessing probably in the 6 to 7 kilohertz range. Not terrible, and it's clear and it's detailed, but like I said, it can be a little bit bright. If you're sensitive to bright headphones, this might not be the headphone for you. Like I pointed out earlier, it is an open back headphone, and the sound out of these is very open. It sounds spacious. It doesn't sound closed in at all. The sound stage is fairly wide on these. Once again, comparing them like to the Sundaras, it doesn't have the sound stage of the Sundara, but it's definitely outside of the headphones. The width of the sound stage sounds like it's coming from a couple inches beyond the headphones. So the soundstage width is good in my opinion. The soundstage depth, as far as the perception of, how close or far away it is, front to back, is lacking a little bit, but I personally haven't heard a $100 headphone that had a lot of soundstage depth. This imaging is good, and the separation of instruments. I've listened to some headphones up into like the $300 range that I thought had very poor imaging and separation of the instruments. Everything pretty much sounded like it was coming from one spot, either my right ear or left ear, and the imaging is actually pretty good on these headphones. The instruments all sound separate from each other and coming from different directions, and I'm actually pretty impressed by the imaging. So overall, it's really a nice headphone in my opinion. I mean, this isn't the best headphone made, but this is a $99 headphone, and for that price, I think it is can be considered an audiophile headphone. It's accurate enough, it's balanced enough, the details there. It's not a headphone for bass heads. If you're a bass head, go buy yourself some Beats or something like that. But I tell you what, I've listened to the Beats Studio 3 recently, and this blows it away in clarity and detail. Blows it away in soundstage and imaging. It doesn't have that deep bass, but in my opinions, the bass is boomy and distorted and doesn't sound good. Where this is a nice, not real impact. Not a lot of impact in the bass, but it's a very clear, undistorted bass. And if you're looking for an entry-level audiophile phone, I think this is a good deal for you. I wanted to point out that I did use my Shit Loki and tried doing some tone adjustment with this, and they do respond very well to EQing. I found out if I gave the boost at 20 hertz, if I boosted these about 3 to 5 decibels, depending on the music, It really gave the bottom end, made the bottom end a lot more solid, gave it more impact, gave it where it actually has a little bit of sub bass in it. So about a 3 to 5 decibel boost with the Shit Loki at 20 hertz, in my opinion, really made this sound like a headphone that should cost a lot more than it does. It really made it hit above its weight level. So also, I tried knocking down the treble about 2 or 3 decibels at 8,000 hertz on the Loki. And it did smooth out the treble, made it, took a little bit of the edge off, the brightness off of it, and made it where it could listen comfortably for a lot longer without the treble becoming fatiguing. But once again, that's just going to be a personal choice. Some people like a brighter treble, especially older people. I mean, I'm 54 years old, and you know, as we get older, our sensitivity to higher frequencies gets lower. And although our tolerance might actually go the other direction, but to the high frequencies. But anyway, if you like a slightly bright headphone, this could be the headphone for you. If you want decent bass, but you're not a bass head, this is probably the headphone for you. And like I said, they do respond very well to EQing. To me, with running about 3 to 5 decibels of boost in the bass and about 2 decibels of cut in the treble at 8,000 hertz. To me, this sounded probably, I don't know, at least halfway there to a Sundara. And the Sundara is a $500 headphone. So I have no complaints about this headphone. And I feel confident that I can recommend this to people as an entry-level headphone, as an entry-level audiophile headphone. Not for bass heads, but a headphone you can use as a portable, you can use at home. And like I said, if you're looking for an audiophile sound and you're on a budget of under $100, I strongly recommend you give this headphone a try. I'm going to wrap this up now. Once again, this is William from the Headphone Experience. If you like my videos, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and please join us at the Headphone Experience on Facebook. Thank you.